Hi, and welcome back for the third video with Wanda Clark and behind the scenes with Wanda Clark and Lucille Ball and her experiences with Lucille Ball. So we didn't mention the nice timepiece that we've got sitting here, Wanda, and I remember in my documentary about you and your experiences with Lucy, you mentioned that Lucy said that she always had time for you. Tell me a little bit about what you've got here.
She did love giving clocks and watches. This is a Tiffany watch that Lucy gave me my first Christmas I worked for her, and that was 64. That's a long time to have a watch that's still running.
Yeah, a little bit.
And it's not a battery. Anyway, it says for Wanda Love Lucy on the back of it.
Oh.
So, yeah. And this is one of the clocks. At one point I told my husband that, I said, we don't have enough room for any more clocks. Because Lucy she'd give them to the whole crew. You had, at Christmas, she'd have to buy like 200 gifts, and she'd pick out a pretty clock and write on it. She wrote her cards and she'd say, I always have time for you, love Lucy. And that's one of them. I have 3 or 4 more around the house. They all still work. They're pretty old.
How neat.
Just stick another battery in them. And I have another watch that's the Lucy's caricature from Here's Lucy. It is a battery clock, and it's not valuable. I mean, it wasn't a Tiffany watch, but sentimentally and collectible. It's got a Lucy's caricature, and it's a bigger one than this. And I switch back and forth with them.
Well, and I noticed RSU TV also talked about, you did the perspective show with Sam Jones and I, and you had that same ring on, and that was Lucy's favorite ring, was it not?
Lucy wore this ring every day. There's a lot of pictures of her, paintings as well as photographs. She's always wearing this ring. And after she died, I was helping Lucy Arnaz organize the list of things that went to this museum or that museum, and friends. Lucy Jr. gave a lot of Lucy's friends personal little gifts, and she gave me this ring with a nice pretty jewelry box. And I wear it all the time. I don't wear much jewelry, but I wear this just because it was Lucy's.
Well, and I saw a Time Life infomercial, I think. It had Carol Burnett and Lucille Ball and some of the other variety show stars, and Lucy was wearing that ring. I had to pause it, thank God for DVR. I paused it, rewound it, played it in slow motion. I said, that's the very same ring that Wanda's wearing.
She wore it every day, not just on the show, but in personal life. And she loved working with Carol Burnett. She'd do Carol's show, and Carol would do Lucy's show. And Carol tells the story when she was on Broadway doing Once Upon a Mattress, and Lucy came. They didn't know each other then, but Lucy came to the audience and went backstage to see Carol and complimented her and says, "Kid, if you ever want me to do your show, just call me." And Carol talks about that a lot.
Dylan being called a kid.
Well, Carol was in Tulsa not too long ago, and you had an experience with...
I did. Carol is one of the nicest people, just adorable. And I saw just a couple of years ago, she was in Tulsa at the Broken Arrow Theater. I think it's named for cute little girl. I can't remember her name now. She's an Oklahoma girl, and the theater is named after her. Kristen
Chatterwick or something?
Chatterwick, yeah. Anyway, I had tickets to go there anyway, season tickets, but I sat down and wrote Carol a letter. And any address I might have had from days gone by wouldn't have been good, so I looked online, Santa Monica, California. There was a production office for Carol Burnett. So I wrote a letter saying, "Dear Carol, this is the first time you've been close enough for me to come to see your show since I moved back to Oklahoma. And I have tickets. I'd just love to come backstage and say hi." And I said a few more things. It was like a 3-paragraph letter. And I said to myself, if she gets this letter, she'll call me. But getting a letter to a celebrity is another story. I know that pretty well. But anything that special, I would have pulled out for Lucy to see. She just couldn't see everything that came in. Well, in a couple of weeks, Carol called me. And I said, "Oh, Carol, thank you for calling me." And she says, "Oh, we go back a long way, don't we?" So Carol has people working for her that pull out things that she should see. So Carol put my name on a backstage list, and and she stood for the whole 2 hours, questions from the audience, showing a lot of film clips, including all the ones with Lucy. I can't stand up that long. We're about the same age, but she stood up on stage and talked. Anyway, she's a wonderful person.
Well, and you mentioned, I think, in conversations that we've had, visits past, that as Lucy's secretary, you were one of the people that went through her fan mail and got to see.
Yeah.
What kind of things did Lucy? I mean, Well,
I mentioned the man that has the online television show. He wrote a letter when he was I think in 8th grade, and it was such a nice letter that I pulled it out to show Lucy because I thought it was special and well written, polite, and so he wanted to borrow a film to show at his school in his class, and so Lucy, he just wrote such a nice letter that she read it, and she's okay, and she sent it to the director of publicity, Howard McClay. Says, "Get this boy a film, send it to him, but make sure he comes and sends it back." And he did. But anyway, Ronnie has never forgotten that. He's had his school teacher on his show a few times. And every time the school teacher comes on, he'll call me then. I've never met the man in person. I've seen him on TV. Just because Ronnie remembers that from when he was, what are you in the 8th grade, 12 or 13? Anyway.
Like 13.
He said, "I made his whole career."
His whole career.
So anyway, I can get off the subject, Tim.
No, that's fine. I'm just kind of.
We get a lot. Now, I have to say, celebrity security people advise them against answering mail the way we did, because I had correspondence for years. Same people, from boys in school till they grew up men and worked at CBS. Because so many times, if you sign a picture, "Love, Lucy," somebody's going to think you want to marry them or something.
Well, yeah.
It's not right, but that's the way it is a lot of times.
Yeah, we live in a different world
Yes,
today
we do.
than.
But that's how we answered. Now, Lucy couldn't sign everything, but she'd dictate replies to letters, and I'd type them, especially on holidays. Lucy got a lot of presents, and she'd dictate for 2 days answers to the thank you notes for the gifts and other things, and she finished, she said, "Oh, thank goodness that's done." Then I had to go, it took me 2 weeks to type them.
Like, oh, she's done, now it's your turn.
Now the work begins.
Anyway, Lucy.
So did you guys, sign her name when you did that? Like her thank you notes, or did you have to pass them over to her when you were all done typing them out for her?
Depending on who it was, and friends, family, personal, she always signed.
Well, yeah, but just in general.
She just couldn't sign everything.
Yeah, you used to be there for hours and hours and hours and days signing every little piece of mail.
Yeah, she
that
just
came to you.
couldn't. And they don't have the time.
I
Yeah.
don't know, because I always think like people that, I was a girl and, wrote people that you thought, that you liked that were actors or musicians. And sometimes you get a letter back and I'm like, is it really from them or is it someone else that wrote it and just signing their name to it?
Listen, most of the time it's really them. But sometimes it's just not
Feasible.
feasible. And but we really did have people corresponding. Lucy kept in touch with girls that she'd gone to school with in Jamestown, New York. She wrote them personal letters, sometimes handwritten, sometimes dictated, depending on her time.
Yeah.
If she was sitting getting her hair done or something, she could dictate for an hour. But sometimes she would write letters. But the one lady they're not here anymore either, but one of Lucy's good, close childhood friends, and when Lucy died, she just didn't want to say goodbye. She still wrote, and me and myself, not, she knew Lucy was gone, but I stayed in touch with that lady until I quit working for Lucy, because she just didn't want to say goodbye.
Right.
Her lifelong friend.
I wanted to keep that connection alive.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it too. So I got to meet her son once at the Lucy Museum. The lady had passed away, but her son was in Jamestown visiting the museum, and I got to say hello to him.
I kind of knew your mom, kind of.
Yeah,
Corresponded with your mom.
I knew your mom, kind of.
Well, ladies, I believe it's time for our refill, and we're going to end this segment, and then we'll pick it back up.
Good
for the
enough,
next
thank
topic.
you.